Hi everyone. Hope everybody's doing good. It's me with another video. This one about the poems that Allison wanted to talk about. Let me grab my book. So let's look at a couple of poems and then we'll write a poem and we'll call that quits. Let's go first to page 1070. That's the first poem we're looking at, which is right at the end of our book, which I like to see, people. God's List of Liquids by Anne Carson. And so this is called God's List of Liquids. It was a November night of wind. Leaves tore past the window. God had the book of life open at pleasure and was holding the pages down with one hand because of the wind from the door. For I made their flesh as a sieve, wrote God at the top of the page, and then listed in order: alcohol, blood, gratitude, memory, semen, song, tears, time. Okay, everyone. Nice little poem here. Allyson says, I chose this poem because I love experimenting with list. I'm also developing a series of poems on Jesus, so reading all these Carson poems on God was really helpful in the furthering of my own personal work. As for the list of liquids, I feel the choices she made were brilliant, and I struggle with the desire for more and the contentment of the list as it is. Right, so that list could go on and on. I'm in love with her stanza breaks and flow. Okay, yeah, so great. Cool stuff about this poem. November night wind, the leaves tore past the window, and so we're all thinking November and cold and windy. And God has the book of life open to the page of pleasure and is holding the page down with one hand because of the wind. For I made their flesh as a sieve. So he says, for I made their flesh as a sieve, and he writes that at the top of the page. And then he lists these liquids. Of course, they're not all exactly liquids, but so their flesh is a sieve, right? So like a sieve that like you would sort, I'm sorry, like say a little fine thing that say you would put flour through and get out the chunks of it, etc., right? So our skin is like porous, right? And then these list of liquids in order: alcohol, blood, obviously both liquids. Then gratitude, obviously not technically a liquid. And memory, clearly not a liquid. Then semen, clearly a liquid. Song, not. Tears, liquid. Time, not. For one thing, here we have the idea of all of these things: gratitude, memory, song, time, all of that stuff being like a liquid, which I want to say flows, and right. Um, so maybe, for instance, gratitude is not a permanent thing. Gratitude's like a liquid that comes and it goes through you and then it's gone again. And memory's like a thing that comes and goes through you, and like you're like the sieve. It comes into you and it goes out the other way. Um, Really a beautiful poem. And like Allyson says, I love list poems. I like poems that mess around with list because list can be so much fun. Even grocery list, people. Any kind of list can really have a lot of potential with it. Let us turn now to the other poem that Allison's got for us, which is The Old Man by Reznikov on page 403. Um, let's see here. 403, The Old Man. Huh, okay. And so I'll read this for us real shortly because it's a short poem. Ready? The Old Man. The fish has too many bones and the watermelon too many seeds. And that's the end, right? So this is, let's see what Allyson, anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge fan of brevity. Not that I'm anti-long, I just like a good shorty. Yeah, me too. This is very good, Shorty, about a grouchy old guy who lost all joy in life. Yeah, I think that that's possible here. The old man, the fish has too many bones, and the watermelon too many seeds. And of course, the thing that immediately strikes us is the too many, which is to say, there's the complaint. I have the fish, but there's something wrong with it. There's too many bones. And I have the watermelon, but there's something wrong with it. There's too many seeds. And so, what? Maybe not focusing, excuse me, maybe not focusing on the good things that you have, but instead complaining about the things that you don't have, or the things that you want. Uh, the old man. And I suppose, so what? We do have this idea of the grumpy old man, who complains about everything and is like, get off my lawn. The fish has too many bones, the watermelon too many seeds. But again, I just want to point out here that the fish and the watermelon seem like beautiful things from the earth. I mean, who are we to say that the fish has too many bones? I mean, a fish is a beautiful thing, and you're like, oh, it's got too many bones. Well, you come up with a fish, right? How many bones are you going to put in it? So what, does the old man know how many bones a fish is supposed to have? No, he doesn't know. And the watermelon's too many seeds? What is there, some kind of limit on watermelon seeds that I didn't know about? You know what I'm saying here, right? These things aren't necessarily things to complain about. Maybe we complain about them because by the time we're an old man, we've eaten so many watermelons that we have an expectation about what kind of seed count a watermelon should have. Or we've eaten so much fish that we have an idea about how many bones are supposed to be in the fish. And because we're old and because we've done it a whole bunch of other times, we feel maybe we have the right to say something, to complain about it. I guess the other thing I think here is maybe just the idea that should. I don't know if y'all have thought about this, but I've been to some counseling before in my life, and one of the things that I've learned is that this idea, when I say things like, I should have done this, or that person should have done this, or we should be thinking about such and such, or we should whatever. The point that I'm getting at is that should is exceedingly vague and not very helpful. Should. There is no should. There is no this person should do this. They either do it or they don't do it. One person could think they should, another person could think they shouldn't. The point is that we do a lot of thinking in our life about this idea of perfection that isn't even there to begin with, of how things should be. She should do this for me. I should feel like this. Da, da, da. What does the old man know, and what do you know about what should happen? There is no should. We got ideas. At any rate. So, nice short poems here. Let's see what Allyson has. Allyson does not have a writing exercise, but that's okay, Allyson. I will come up with a writing exercise for you. And I will do that right this second, people. Both of these poems are short. Let's write some short poems, or a short poem. I think I will most likely try to write more than one, just because they're so short. But let's take a couple minutes here and try to write some really short poems. The first one we read was like whatever. It had a lot of lines, but it didn't really have a lot of words in it. And likewise, the second poem was super short. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a certain length. Maybe it's 5 lines, maybe it's 10 lines, maybe you end up writing something that's 20 lines and it's not short at all. Ultimately, that doesn't really matter. But what does matter here is that we're writing, and we're writing short poems. So, on your mark, get set, go. All right. Okay, anybody got any short poems they want to share with us? You can do that in the comment box. I wrote a couple here. I was trying to maybe title a couple of them, but I didn't really get around to doing that. So, what did I write here? I said, if I were taller, I would grow into the ground. I don't know, right? I don't even know what that is. Um, this is actually something I wrote the other day, but just remembered it and wrote it down again. The whole world shuts down for a virus. People forget how to love, but not us. Uh, I don't know, right? Um, and then I wrote, we'll give this a title of like Smarter Artist. Smarter Artist. The smarter you are, the dumber the smart are. Okay, those are my short poems. Y'all share some short poems of your own. Hope everyone has a great day, and I'll be back with more videos later. Bye bye, people.